This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Hi, this is Joe Rabil with Invest Like a Pro, and today we're going to give you a stock market update. I like to do this once a week, and lately I've really just been focusing on the S&P, using the spider, the SPY, and the reason I want to do that is so I can give you detail into what I'm seeing. If I try and look at a whole bunch of different indices, I'll tend to gloss over some things. So this way I can give you a lot of detail. Because look, the reason why I do this, for those of you who don't know, I've been providing research and consulting to institutional money managers for the last 30 years. And just in the last year or so, I have started providing this to everybody on a subscription model. But what I wanted to mention is that I want to show you the process that I go through so that you can apply it to any market, any stock. Anything that trades can pretty much be applied this way. And the more you watch this Friday review, I'm doing this as of the close Thursday for Friday morning. The more I think you watch this, the more you'll understand how I go about all the detail that I'm looking at for any individual setup, whether it be on the buy side, the sell side, and all the analysis that goes into it. There is a huge difference between analysis and trading, and I try and spend a time on Tuesday's video going through a lot of trading techniques and understanding that. I do spend time on the analysis as well, but a big portion is learning how to trade. And I think that what I'm going to do today is do more of the analysis, give you an idea of where the market is, where I think it's going, and there was something fairly important that took place this week in the indicators that I think it's worth discussing. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I've got my 4 time frames up with a monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly on the SPY. And I like to start with the wide angle lens, the big picture view. And what I've been alluding to is this 18 starting to lose slope here. Okay, it's still rising, but it's starting to flatten out. And what I've been thinking is that this rally was going to take too long, and that by the time it gets up to it, this line could be declining. But we're starting to get a little bit of move here. It's only, we've got a little over a week left before the month is over. So it's possible if there's more follow through. I think it seems unlikely, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if we rally up and this is rolled, I think the market's in a much more vulnerable position to fail than if this keeps climbing, even if it's just slowly climbing. So we want to keep that in mind. There is a big negative on this time frame, and that's these 2 MACD lines going down. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't push up. It just means that the odds of us continuing to trend higher with this look like that is not very good. The odds of us going up without some kind of a retracement along the way is so small. But the question I have is, are we going to rally up and this is rolling over and fail right there with this being like a pinch to the downside? That's what I'm on the lookout for. But for now, the move seems like it wants to be to the positive side. Let me show you why we got some confirmation of that this week. So let's go to the weekly chart, because what I talked about last week was how red DI, which is the strength of the sellers, confirmed the down move. But then even before this really started rallying, red made a lower low. So the sellers were losing strength. What was missing was the strength of the buyers. Now look at what we got this week. We made a higher high in the buyers. See how that came up and took out that prior peak? So now we have a lower low here and a higher high here. And this actually made a higher bottom as well. So we're starting a contraction phase. Now, how do I know we're entering a contraction phase? Well, I know I've got these 2 lines making this going like this. So these are coming together. This is moving in this direction, and this is moving in this direction. But my confirmation of that is that we're up in kind of overbought region up here, 40 to 50, especially when you get to 50 and you see this line turning down. It doesn't usually turn down and then turn right back up. I mean, we're looking at least a minimum period of, I don't know, what, like 4 to 6 weeks or something like that, usually. I mean, it's pretty rare that it could be any less than that. So I'm expecting some kind of a continuation here. So that's kind of the big thing, is that the fact that that ADX line has rolled over probably means there's a very good shot that the number I've been talking about, the 18-week and this resistance zone up here, is going to become a higher probability, or it has become a higher probability now. So that's a big thing. Now, last week I talked about, let's just get rid of these trend lines. Last week on the daily chart, I mentioned an undercut and rally pattern developing. So we had this move where we cut down below the low and then formed this ledge. And I drew in a line, trend line, but the reality is probably getting through 390 was kind of the key level. That was the 40-week. And 389.90 is the 40-week. Getting back up through that and this prior peak, I think, was pretty important, especially because we did have a pinch here. Okay, so we came down and undercut this low here just marginally, but the MACD held and actually formed a pinch play, because we had 1 lower high, 2 lower high, 3 lower high, 4 lower highs, and then we came back up through this key level, got back above the 18-week. I'm sorry, it is the 18-day on a pinch play. Now, what I like to do when I see this is when we get a pinch like that, you can go down to the smaller time frame and wait for the second pinch. So this was the second pinch here. You see how this pinched? So this came down, held, turned up, and then on this red day, the red day was this decline here, and then the opening the following day was basically the completion of the pinch and the trigger to the upside. So, you know, I'm not telling you that was the pattern, because last week I was basically the pattern to enter, but it does give us confirmation that we could buy this trend line break here. Right there. You see how that trend line set up? We had this peak, lower high, second lower high after it failed there. And then when it turned back up and came back up, it was right around 390. I would say that was really the entry to get long. That's how I would see this. Now, the target for this move, the conservative target, is the 18-week line, which is around 408, 409. But when I see this kind of pattern, I'm more inclined to believe that it wants to work back up to this key resistance zone somewhere around 411, 412. I'm going to switch this over to the S&P just so you can get the correlation numbers. We're talking about 4,100, maybe up to 4,200, something like that is where the resistance is. Now, because of the way this is playing out, because of the fact that the ADX is turning down, and because of the fact that the MACD is so oversold, I mean, look at how oversold this is. It's very possible that we're going to get this retracement to go back and test the 18-month line. That's really where we're going to have a pretty important decision on our hands in terms of how, well, the market's going to have a very important decision to see how it reacts there. And that means it would get up to 4,300. And if it might overshoot a little bit, maybe it hits 4,400 potentially, but say 4,300 is the target. And if we do that, we want to see if it fails there and turns down. If it does, that could be a massive negative for this market. So right now I'm in kind of watch and see mode. I want to see how strong this rally is. So far, it's okay. It's not great, but it's good enough. And the fact that we got this ADX suggesting that we're going into a contraction phase in the downtrend, meaning we're going to have some kind of a rally phase here, I think is an encouraging sign. So that's the update for the week. Go ahead and post any questions or comments, and see you next time.